Hey, Claire, it's Claire Smith coming to you live. Whoop, whoop. It's been a while. I should have checked when my last live video was so I could actually tell you when my last live video was, but it doesn't matter. Small details that really doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, right? I don't know that any of you will be able to join me live because I really didn't give much advance notice on this. And for those of you who are still on Facebook, I'm not sure how many of you are still active on Facebook. I was just on Instagram stories talking about this, which, by the way, my Instagram stories are now crossing over to my Facebook stories. You guys might have noticed that. So we'll go ahead and drum up an audience as we kind of are working through this. Just to let you know right off the bat, I will take this video and I will put it on YouTube, and then I will also put this on a blog post. So it will be stationary and it will be something that you will be able to reference in the future, okay? So I'm excited to talk about what I'm gonna be talking with you about today. It is something that the Lord has stirred up on my heart. I have lots and lots of things, and I just was praying before I got on here that God would bring the people who need to hear this message, and that I would be able to encourage and build up your sweet spirit if you find yourself in a funk right now. But before we get started, I want to introduce myself. I know that some of you may be like, I don't know how I liked this girl. Who is this? Claire Smith? I don't know. This is random. My name's Claire Smith, hence the name Claire Smith like page here. And I am, a fitness trainer. I'm a Pilates instructor. I teach college students. I just got done teaching my first class as an adjunct professor. I should start off with this. I'm a wife. I've been married for 15 years. I have 2 kids. My son is 12. He's going to be 12, and my daughter is 9.5. And I live in Ohio, the fantastic, tropical, warm Ohio, right? No, just kidding, not. Cold this morning, a little icy. I also have this amazing online ministry, this platform that God has given me. It will be 8 years. Guys, some of you have been following me for that long. January of 2011 is when I popped up with my blog and started a Facebook page, and then has grown into what it is now. With this, out from this ministry, has come awesome opportunities to speak, to write, to coach women via the phone, to do a number of different things, basically to provide tools, information to equip a woman, primarily women, although I have some male followers, from the inside out. Everything that I'm talking about is going to be faith-based. Everything's going to come from a Christian perspective. That is how I do things. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. So if you don't like that, you probably won't like me. And I'll tell you that right out the gate. But I hope that you will find some encouragement from some of the things that I have to share with you, and some things that we can talk about as a community. That's the other beautiful thing about this, is that it's not just me. We have an amazing Facebook and Instagram community of people who have just come alongside here through the years. So that's a little bit about me. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you're actually watching, I love this. Where are you watching from? From what city, state, or country? Hey, it's not just the United States here. We're on the socials now, the interwebs. So I would love to hear that, just to say hi. Also, if you have any questions, feel free to go ahead and put them throughout. I will try to scroll back up, or perhaps save them until the end. And then if you're watching this on the rebroadcast or the replay, then also leave them there, because I'm going to try to go back through and answer any of those questions for you guys. So, okay, today we're going to be talking about funks. And I'm naming this when you can't put your finger on your funk. Now, I asked Instagram a couple weeks ago. I did an Instagram poll, and I asked everybody, have you ever been in a funk before? Now, we of course have to start with defining what that is, but I said it could be a physical funk, an emotional funk, a spiritual, a relational. More than likely, when we say funk, it's kind of just this mind, body, soul feel that we get. 98% of you said yes. I had hundreds of responses. 98% of you said yes. The 2% that said no, 2 of you actually wrote back to me and was like, oops, I meant to actually say yes on that one. So I have a feeling it was even smaller than that, of people who said, yeah, Claire, I've been in it. I understand what you mean. I want to first define what I mean by a funk, right? Because I think we all maybe use it a little differently. So let me pull up my computer here. Okay, so Merriam-Webster's dictionary says a funk is this. It is a state of paralyzing fear, a depressed state of mind, a slump. It also says it is a music that combines elements of rhythm and blues and soul. I like that kind of music. I don't like the funk that we're talking about today. So we're going to say it again. It's a state of paralyzing fear, a depressed state of mind, or a slump. And I thought there was so much power right out the gate from just reading those definitions. The word paralyzing. Now, I'm going to share with you some thoughts you guys shared with me on Instagram. So I want to show you this. A depressed state of mind, okay? And this general slump feel. Now, I think, again, some of you can relate to this. If you feel like you can, if you feel like you have some friends that can relate to this, I would encourage you to go ahead and share this video while we're watching or share it afterwards, because I have a feeling that you're not going to be the only ones that's going to definitely feel this. So I would encourage you to do that. So if you feel like you've had a slump, I don't know, can you guys like do something fun on here, like do some hearts or something? Oh, look, everybody's tagging in. Hey, Tammy, hey, Elizabeth, hey, Amber, hey, Ann. I think Ruth, hi, Ruth, I see you watching. Hey, Mackenzie. I'm going to swipe that over for a second, though, so I can kind of continue on with this. So yeah, if you felt like you've been in a funk before, give me some hearts on that one, because I think we've all been there. Like I said, 98% of you on Instagram has said that you guys told me that. Now, let me tell you why I'm bringing this conversation up. All right, so if you've followed me for any amount of time, you hear me reference quite a bit that I have lots of conversations with women, all right? This is like my life. This is why I think God's put me on this earth, is to conversate, to talk with people. And I have so many opportunities to do that. Some of them are just real life friends. They're my personal friends. Sometimes it's people from my church. Sometimes it's when I go to speaking events with women, and afterwards they come up to me and they're sharing their heart. And then the biggest piece is online. It's what you guys are saying back to me in comments and private messages and emails. It's what my health coaching clients, when I get into these conversations, you know, they hire me to help them lose weight, but typically we go a lot deeper than that. Typically it is something much more deeper and anchored in there that does impact why they are or are not losing weight or the addiction that they have. And so I have all these conversations, and what happens is that the Lord starts to kind of set conversations in my life. And he starts to make this little stirring in my spirit on topics. And I typically end up writing about it somehow. And if it's powerful enough, I'm going to pop up here on video and try to talk with you about it to see if it resonates. And indeed, this particular one does. Now, I was talking with one of my girlfriends on our community group on our Wednesday night. Every Wednesday night, I'm in a small group. My husband and I lead a group, and we were in our guy and girl time, and we were sharing prayer requests. And someone was just like, you know, I don't know. I'm not sure what's going on. So I don't even know what to tell you guys to pray for. And I was like, are you in a funk? She's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And we started talking about it. And I was like, all right, what do you think? Is it hormonal? She's had some hormonal issues, issues like with like her digestion, even with her headaches and different things. So we start with physical. She's like, I don't know, maybe. I'm like, okay, so is it something relational in your life? You know, did something happen with you and your husband or your mother-in-law? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, was there something in your ministry or something that you were doing at church? And, you know, it's this idea that you're just like, well, yeah, or I don't really know. So this is right off the bat. This is going to distinguish and help some of you decide if you're in a funk or not. Some of you are just in a trial. Like you are in the thick of a storm and you're not like going, I'm not sure. Like the things that you're going through is simply because you're working through something really hard. Okay, and not that any of these things don't apply, because I actually think they do, but I think in this context, at least of what I'm talking about today, is more that vague, slumpish, I don't know what to do. Okay, so we were talking about it the next morning. I use this app called Voxer. All my girlfriends know this. It's a walkie-talkie app, and it is the best tool for, I think, discipleship and ministry, totally, in my opinion. So we were voxing back and forth, talking about it a little bit more, asking how I could pray for her. And this whole thought came to mind. And I told her at the end of the conversation, I said, hey girl, I said, it's just like you can't put your finger on your funk. And she said, that's it. And that in itself is frustrating when you're like, I can't even attack this thing because I don't even know what I'm doing. Okay, so that's kind of how this started. So I went to Instagram, asked my question. Then my next question to you guys was this. What are some of the emotions and feelings that you have when you are in a funk? What is it? What are the words that you would use? Okay. Oh my word. I have never had so many responses back on a question before. And that's how I knew I hit a nail on the head, and I'm like, I have to talk to this. We have to talk about this so much. Okay, so I have lots and lots of pages of what you guys have written and of what you said. And I was trying to tally. I wanted to see what were the top reasons, what were the top emotions that you were feeling, or if you knew, why you were that way, all that good stuff, because I wanted to see if there were some common things. And there for sure are some common words. Now remember, you guys aren't talking to each other as you're responding to me, but some of the words I got were this: hopeless, weighted down, pressure, discouragement, blah, defeated, disappointed, unexplained sadness. I got sadness a lot. Forgotten, far from God, robotic, kind of emotionless, angry. I had a couple angry responses. Depression was in there. Anxiety was in there. One of the top ones that I got was unmotivated. No drive for anything. Just very unmotivated. That was my top one. And then the second one, I think, was what was the second one? Overwhelm. It was overwhelm. So it was that idea. There was confusion. Why am I in this funk? What's going on? Why can't I get out of this funk? You feel disconnected, drained, undisciplined, not yourself. You've lost your passion. You've lost your passion to glorify God. Purposeless, worthless, frustrated, flat. I'm skipping over a ton. Failure, no control, stuck, melancholy, sleepy, out of sorts, drained. None of those words sound amazing. None of those words have an awesome connotation to it. Each one of those words are terrible. Each one, if you just had one of those things that you felt in a day, you would be like, this day is not the best, right? But we know that when you're in a funk, it's probably like a couple. You're kind of like, I actually, Clara, all of those that you just mentioned, I definitely feel to be true. And so it's not a good thing. So we know that it is definitely something that when we're in a funk, we want to definitely not be there. It's not like we want to stay there. Now, here's the interesting thing about a funk. When we do this, a lot of you also said that you kind of turn inward, okay? You retreat a little bit. You come back from life. You come back from friends. You come back perhaps from your church or from your husband or the different things that you've always done, right? You're not doing any of the exercises that you used to do. You just turn inwardly. And again, the word is kind of to retreat. Now, here's a key point I want you all to know. I'm okay with turning inward because there have been times in my life when I'm in a funk and I need to turn inward. I need to get quiet. I need to retreat a little bit and shut everything out. But if the point of your retreat is to just think about you and your issues and what you have and what you don't have, instead of retreating so that you can turn up to what the Lord is teaching you and what he wants you to know in this season. If it's purely just to go inward, you will end up staying in that position, and your intention of retreating will actually turn into isolation. Isolating yourself for a longer period of time. And that is not a good thing. anytime we isolate ourselves, if there's anything that I see to be a consistent theme with women who are struggling with a number of issues, with your marriage, with an eating disorder, with struggles with your parents, with a sexual issue, I don't know, I mean, you name it, I've talked about it. If you're going inward and you are isolating, it is a dangerous thing. Now, I want to tell you, in Genesis, when there was sin that entered the picture, Adam and Eve realized that they were naked and they had shame. And the first thing that they did was hid. God went through the garden and he says, Adam, where are you? And Adam said, I was ashamed and I hid. Now, I'm not saying your funk is attached to sin. Hear me out. That's not necessarily the case. It might be. There might be some sin in there, something going on in your life that is attached to that funk. But it's not necessarily. I don't think that's always the case. But I will tell you this. The first thing in the garden that happened, that stopped that relationship, was the fact that Adam tried to hide from God and go in the dark. And that will never work. That's never going to work because Jesus wants to have that intimate relationship with us. And so we have to make sure that we have ourselves in the light. We were talking about this Wednesday in our community group. Our tendency, as soon as we wake up in the morning, is going to be to go in the dark. Satan wants us to not live in the light. The Bible talks a lot about the light, okay? The light is where there is truth. The light is where there is freedom. The light is Jesus, okay? The light is what we as Christians, as believers, need to be bringing to this dark world. So Satan's going to do what he can do to keep you in the dark. So your goal when your little feet hit the ground every morning is to get your heart excited, to get yourself up into the light, because there's going to be a force that's going to try to keep you in. I have a feeling that that's definitely going to be the case for many of us, is that we wake up and we go right into the dark. You are telling yourself something when you're in your funk, okay? There is a script going on in your head when you're in this hard stage of life. There's something that you keep repeating to yourself. Oh, here you go again, Claire. I thought we weren't going to do this again. And you just go ahead. You're going to do it. You're going to gain another 10 pounds. You're going to of course, you're not going to start that new ministry that you wanted to start. You're not going to be involved in that. You're not going to continue your exercise routine, whatever. Maybe it's some other type of script, but there is something that you're telling yourself during your funk. Hopefully, you're telling yourself truth. Hopefully, you're telling yourself things like, this is temporary. God is still with me in my funk. This is a part of my sanctification, of me becoming more like Jesus in my suffering or in the dark moments. This is a time for me to reach out to my Heavenly Father. There are definitely things you can be telling yourself. You just need to know what you're telling yourself. So you need to first catch what you're thinking when you're in your funk. I'm going to tell you right now, there are some things that you're telling yourself in the funk that's keeping you in your funk. There are some things that you just keep believing to be true, and therefore you're not going to get out of it. Because you're just like, yeah, that's it. And this is just how it kind of goes. Now, again, is that true in all cases? No, of course not. Of course not. Some of you legit, there are some other things going on. But I am going to tell you, you are saying something to yourself. Now, here is a concept I think I come upon every single time I do a Facebook video or any video. And is the idea of spiritual warfare. It's the idea of that spiritual battle. And I just talked about that, about in Genesis, about how Satan has this way of taking something that's supposed to be in the light and pulling us back into the dark so that we can isolate and break ourselves from communion with God and communion with other people. Okay, that's like the number one go-to thing he's going to do. Now, we might think we're in communion because we're on Instagram, or because we're on Facebook, or because we snap somebody, or we got a group text with our friends or something. We might think we're in communion with people. We appear to be. But the other thing I'm finding out, ladies, we have some false ideas of community. And women are feeling it to the core. They feel really super lonely, even though they're really connected with lots and lots of people. So that, I think, is a way that Satan will deceive us. So again, you have to know that there is something to be said when you retreat inward, that God is wanting to pull you up and out, but you're going to sometimes keep yourself in the dark and Satan does nothing. Like, he's done the one thing. He's plotted the lie in your head. And now, therefore, he's like, this is so simple. I almost imagine it as if you're down on the ground and he's like tugging at you, you lose, you kind of hold down into this cowardly position. Satan has his hand on your head. You fight, you struggle. And then you stop the struggle, okay? You stop the struggle because you're like, well, yeah, I mean, he's right. You know, this is kind of my life and this is how it is. And then you stop the struggle. Satan not gently, he just removes, this is all just my brain, guys. This is not necessarily biblical. He's like removing his hand from it and moves on. And you're still down on the ground. You're like down there. You know why? Because you're believing, you're keeping yourself down there in the dark. And he's not even there. He doesn't even have to try anything, you know? And so again, this is where we have to be so vigilant on what we are telling ourselves in the truth and people in our lives to get us to be like, girl, get yourself up out of there. Like, that is not right. That's not where you need to be. Okay. And so then you realize, well, shoot, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Well, then you get yourself back up. Then you feel the struggle again, the battle. It's not going to come easy, guys. That's why my heart is to build you guys up from the inside out. Yeah, I started as a health and fitness blogger here. Yeah, of course I did. I gave you lots of exercises and nutrition. I love it. I still love it. I can't imagine a day of my life without talking about it or implementing something. I want you to become stronger physically. And let me tell you, there is an implication, there is a connection, between the physical and the internal and the spiritual. And so I want you guys to build yourselves up internally to become these women that's like, not on my dime, Satan. You are not doing this to me again. You're not doing it to my sister. You're not doing it to my girlfriend in my community group. You're not going to do it to my mom. You're not going to do this. This is not how this rolls. And this is why we need the body. Boy, I'm off on a tangent, guys. All right, this is my problem. Okay, so what we want to do is we've got to think about how are we going to get out of this funk, okay? What is it? Once we're in it, we've established what it looks like. It looks different for everybody. It goes season to season, all those different types of things. So we want to talk about how do we get out of it. Now, the irony, I asked you this question, this was my next question to you guys, is how do you get yourself out of one, okay? So the irony is the way you get yourself out is many times the things that you stop doing that get you in. Let me say that again. How you get out of the funk is typically something that you've just kind of stopped doing, a discipline in your life that you're just like, I don't have time for that anymore. Oh, it doesn't matter, that's a little shallow, something like that. And for whatever reason that's attached, and you wiggle yourself back down into this little funk. All right, so let me tell you some of the things of how you guys get yourself out of it. This is what you said. You remind yourself, you tell yourself, I've been here before, it won't last forever. You plan for future activities. You read scripture out loud. You wake up a little earlier. You watch your nutrition. You have uplifting quotes and verses around you. You get busy. You get some things done. You make some tangible progress around the house. You write down things you're thankful for. You make small goals daily. You call your girlfriends. You call your husband. You tell your husband. You cut back and simplify. You refocus. This is the top two. Number one was exercise. That was the first thing most of you said to get out of your funk as you start moving your body again. The next one was scripture. Those were the top two. Now here's the coolest thing. I did not even plan this, guys. This is how God is so awesome. Okay, exercise, scripture. Do you know, there's this thing I created 7 years ago called the Living and Active Challenge. And it's a 5-week challenge that works on 2 disciplines. One being scripture memorization, and the second one being exercise. Hot diggity dog. And guess what? We're going to go ahead and start a new session in January. Lord willing, I need an assistant so I can have some help around here so I can get that done. But I didn't do it this September. but I'm going to go ahead and start a session in January because I think it's really important. So I just thought, oh Lord, you're so cool, because I'm not trying to promote this for any other reason, but it just worked out so well to say that discipline of scripture and exercise are the two things that people do to get themselves up and out of a funk. So keep your eye open on here and in emails from me or whatever for the Living in Active Challenge come January, okay? All right, some other things you do to get out of it. You give yourself grace, huge. Let's see, you worship. That was probably the third answer. The next option was your worship, was the music that you were listening to. You had a lot of worship music. Let's see, your friends, you had your friends praying. People said you put makeup on. Hey, there's something to be said for that. Let's see, again, you plan, Bible, fitness, service, you sleep. Let's see, you have projects, you talk about it, you cry. You do the next thing. Do the next thing. Self-care, which is basically all these things. Self-talk, telling yourself it's going to be better. Journal, podcasts, listening yourself to podcasts and social media, and then planning for the future. So I thought that those were so powerful because I think that there is so much truth, and none of those things in and of themselves are just like, oh my goodness, I can't commit to putting makeup on every day, Claire. It's like, yeah, I think we could all put a little mascara and lip gloss on and maybe we would feel a little better. I can't, you don't have to do things super extreme like the exercise portion or even the scripture piece, but we'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, that's how most people said that they got out of the funk. It was the power, it was the truth. It was the truth of God. It was scripture that was then informing their thoughts, okay? The Bible is not just some old school dusty thing your grandma read that was meant to be like, that's pretty, it goes in a church. Oh, I have it on an app and I get a text every day that has a really encouraging quote. That's great and all, but the Bible is supposed to be something, it's living and active, and that's why we call it the Living and Active Challenge. But it is supposed to feed our souls. If you truly say you're a Jesus lover, that he is your savior, and you are a Christian, a follower of him, you were designed and created and meant, because the Holy Spirit resides in you, to hear the word of God and to let that be the nourishment of your life every day. So what happens again is the disciplines of perhaps exercise, healthy eating, scripture reading, listening to worship music, serving. Serving was a big one too. Getting kind of like not thinking about yourself all the time, but like serving other people that help people get out of a funk. Again, kind of taking care of yourself, sleeping. All of those things are what help people kind of pull up and out. And if it doesn't really pull you up and out, what I think it does if you start those, it gives you a good rhythm in your life. It gives you something to say like, okay, I need to do this. This gives me the next thing. This is a little bit of completion. Because if you remember, one of the things you guys felt was this overwhelmed feeling, like this overwhelm of what? Not getting anything done, right? That's why you're overwhelmed. You're like, I know I need to do this stuff and it's just piling up and I'm doing nothing. I'm sitting here scrolling my Facebook feed, making fun, or, thinking negative thoughts about my friend or something about all the awesome stuff they're doing. And it's not right. You know what I'm saying? Like you're just as frustrated with the fact that you're not doing something. So these little things, these little disciplines, they really add up and they help you start to get this traction, this like momentum to kind of keep you going. Okay. So the next thing I want to talk about, I use the phrase your tool belt a lot. I don't know. I used it with like my college students. I was telling them about something. I was telling someone a couple weeks ago about something. I found myself just using this word, your tool belt. Anyway, the idea being you want to kind of create the get out of the funk tool belt. So it's this idea that you've got something that you can wear that when you need to pull out the tool, when you're in it, you're like, I've got a tool for this one, and you pull it out. But you got to kind of create that tool belt, and that's what I want you guys to start thinking about. I want you to start thinking about like, well, what is my get out of my funk tool belt? Like, who is it? So the first thing I want you to think about is who in my life can I say I'm in a funk, and can you just be there for me? Like, I don't know, just ask me questions, make sure I'm getting out of my house, ask me to go on a walk, pray for me. So think about you just need one person, okay? Maybe two. That's fine. You don't have to have a whole squad of girls. Next would be your soul care. What does your soul care look like? What tool in your soul care? So obviously, guys, I want you in the Word every day if you can be. And there are so many amazing resources for that. But I understand I say that and it's still hard. But there are things like shereadstruth.com. My friend Courtney has womenlivingwell.org, her Good Morning Girls. The If Gathering has stuff. I mean, there are a number of resources that can help you get in the Word. And so that's important. I also think you want to consider with soul care is kind of the worship aspect. The music. I mean, here's the truth about it. When a good song, and there are amazing good songs out there, many good songs that are worship music. If you're actually singing it, right? You're singing it out. I mean, you can think it, but let's say you're actually proclaiming it. What that is that's actually, you're actually saying truth. And by you saying that, it actually resonates. It comes back and kind of resonates in your mind and sits in your soul. That's why worship is so powerful. Like you can literally have a terrible day and turn on your Spotify worship playlist or your favorite songs and just start to sing. And it really lifts your spirit. It is so true. And that's a choice that you have. So maybe make yourself, when you're not in a funk right now, make yourself a little playlist that you're like, these songs, I'll sing them, and I know it may not make my life 10 times better, but it's going to make it 5 times better. And that's okay. That's good too. So once you think about your soul care, I want you to think about your self-care, okay? This is when we talk about exercise. This is when we talk about what we're eating. Perhaps sleep. Some of you might sleep a lot during a funk, and some of you might sleep not at all. That's dependent. Everybody's a little different on that. So what are some things that you can do when you're in it? I'm telling you guys, when you're in it, you're not going to want to think about this. So you've got to create this tool belt right now. That's really important to think about. So think about, what does that look like? Maybe it's even something like getting your nails done every once in a while, or go get your hair highlighted, or, I know this stuff sounds super shallow. And in some Christian circles, people don't like talking about this. But that's not me. I just talked to too many women, and I've lived it in my own life to know the power of just taking care of yourself. You don't have to be excessive about it. You don't have to go get lots of shots and injections and spend tons of money on it. But it's just this idea that, like, I'm important enough, I love myself enough to take care of myself so that I can take care of other people. So that I can do the work God has asked me to do with my family. So I can love them. I'm telling you guys, I'm a better mom, friend, wife, because I put time in to taking care of myself. I've done it both ways. I have done it both ways. And I'm a results girl. I like to see, like, which one is getting me towards my goal. What's my goal in life? And I'll tell you what makes me get towards my goal. I know what it is. That's why I have boundaries around certain things in my life so that they happen. I have enough love for myself. Love your neighbor as yourself. People are like, love your neighbor as your what? Nah, love your neighbor as yourself. It's okay. Anyways, you want to make sure that you have that in balance. So it's okay to take a little bit of time. Tell your husband, if you start to feel drained, be like, hey, I need some girl time. Can I go out with my girlfriends? Like, my girlfriends are huge in my life. I am so blessed. And my husband, I make sure he has time with his guys too. We have each other. But like, we're not meant to like be the only person to deal with like the emotional things in our life. It's just not fair. Like my husband and I are doing a lot of other things, trying to raise our kids and all that kind of stuff. So it's okay to do that. And then keep a short list. The final thing in the tool belt is kind of keep a short list. Like, what short list? Not keep a short list, create a short list. So we were talking about achievement. When you feel in these funks, you feel like, overwhelmed. You feel like you're not getting anything done, which then just triggers you into another guilt and shame cycle. Okay, so is there a list of things that you can create? And this you really can't do ahead of time. But like, what are some small things that you can be like, I got that done? I have some achievement there. Like, I'm going to go tackle that closet. Again, I did it 2 months ago, but hey, we're going to do it again. And you're going to put on a positive podcast or some worship music. Or perhaps you're going to go through the kids' old clothes or something like that. I don't know. I find it these little like menial tasks that your brain doesn't have to work too much. There's something to be said, something you can achieve in like an afternoon. Do that. Find some of those things that would work for you or your evening. Now, some of you are working behind a desk 8 to 5, so this is going to look a little different for you. But I still think the same rules apply. You can do these things to the weekend. Now, a warning. This was a really, really good point someone brought up to me. They said that when they're in these funks, they have to be careful that they don't create some new bad habits. Someone was honest enough to tell me that when she's in a funk, that she drinks a lot of wine. And that she's noticed that about herself. And she said that she has to really watch that now. That's something that she's not able to go to. So when you're in these times, you kind of, I don't know if you go numb, but you kind of pacify yourself a little bit in different ways. And so some of us do it with alcohol. Some of us do it with food. I would say that that's a lot of people, to be honest. Food's always my hardest trigger. Like, I love to eat, so like, it's always my biggest problem. Food would be one. It could be exercise. It could be actually too much of that. More than likely, probably not. But there is something, maybe shopping. Oh, Mo, that's a big one. Amazon Prime. Come on, you just go on there and you're like, yep, order now. So you're going to be pacifying yourself, perhaps. So don't pick up any bad habits that you don't want to continue. Be aware of that. All right, as we close this out here, remember this. There is some timing to this. Some of the funk, okay, you know, you're going to be, Claire, I did that. I did A, B, C. You told me to do these things. I did these things. And I'm still in it. I'm still in it. And, you know, it's not as simple as ABC, guys. I'm just trying to give you some things to think about because everybody's so unique. And the reasons why you're going through one might actually be something deeper than what you think it is. But sometimes I think God, in his mercy and in his grace towards us, he lets us feel these seasons where we're like human, where we're like raw, you know, where we're like, we're not on the mountaintop, we're in the valley. And I think sometimes the funks come because of ourselves and other people or just life. But sometimes I think God allows us to kind of feel it and to say like, come on now. He's like, turn to me here. Let's talk to me. Let's work you through this. What do you want to hear from me? Do you want to know more about me or about just how to get out of this in your life? And I do think it's an act, again, of grace, of him saying, I want that intimate relationship with you. I don't necessarily want to give you this answer right away. And think about that in any other area of your life, guys. Sometimes, you know, the Lord can provide anything we want now. He can give us the answer, the healing, the, you know, you name it, the money, the person, the marriage partner. Yeah, are you kidding me? God could do all of that right now. But there's sometimes, almost always, that there is a bigger thing going on. And I have to think that there are times in these seasons, perhaps, that the Lord is controlling this timing. And he's always controlling the timing. But he's just saying here like, hey, hello. And maybe that's a big piece to it as well. Also remembering this as we end, that he is the only one. God alone. Our human effort, man, whew, if we can we can do a lot. And I just gave you a lot, guys. I'm the queen of a lot. If you want to know like a plan, I'm your woman. So I'll definitely give you a lot. But I also want you to remember this. I want you to balance this. There is our human effort, and then there is just resting in the Lord. There is just the peace of saying, God, you are the one who is going to get me through this funk. You are the one who is going to give me wisdom, knowledge, understanding, insight to what is going on deep down. What's going on from the inside out. You and you alone. And I think it's with that thinking that we come before him humbly, and that we're like, hey, this is where we are, God. Let's be honest. I hate this. We can do it in our tears, probably some not so great words sometimes. We can do it in our frustration. You know what? Sometimes we do it in our silence. Sometimes we just don't have that connection, and we almost don't even want it with him. And let's be honest about that, guys. That happens. It happens. All of us. I've definitely had that happen where I'm like, I don't know if I can talk to you about this today, God. I don't know. I'm not there. Don't talk to me. But just know this, that he's wanting to build this relationship. He loves you so much. He didn't need you on this earth. Okay, think about that for a second, guys. He didn't need any of us. He chose us. He chose to create us, to handcraft us, and to put us exactly where we are. And he gave us these just human beings in these bodies. And yeah, they're tainted by sin. It wasn't the original design. But he also didn't leave us high and dry. That's why Jesus came. That's why he came. And what better time of the year for us to be thinking about that as light entered the world. As light entered the world. And then he entered the world through us, through the Holy Spirit that resides in us. And so we can work through these funks. We can. We absolutely can. It may take some counseling. I'm not saying that there aren't times when maybe it's a little deeper than what's at hand. I don't want to give timelines. I'm not a therapist myself. But I mean, if you feel like you've been in this funk for a while and you're like, dude, I cannot shake it, you might want to ask someone else, a pastor, really, a mature girlfriend. Maybe go see a therapist. It never hurts. I'm a big proponent of counseling. So just keep that in mind as well. Okay, so that is pretty much all I had for today. That was probably long. Do you guys have any questions? Is there anything that you would like to ask? Please list them below. I can do a quick Q&A here before we close up. And remember, I'll come back and answer any of the other ones. This video is also going to pop up. I'm going to put it on my YouTube. It'll be here on my Facebook page. I'm also going to put it on a blog post. And so we have it there with some information. Any questions? About anything. You don't even have to ask about funks per se. Silence. Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I hope this was helpful. If it was, and you feel like someone could hear this, could share this, or could use this, would you mind sharing it? Facebook, Instagram, the way that this stuff goes anymore, it's hard to get the information. And this is my heartbeat. If you can't tell, guys, this is everything to me. I want to just encourage people. So if you wouldn't mind helping me in that by sharing with other people about this. All right, well, we'll see what my next video ends up being. I'm not sure what that will be. But again, keep your eye open for the Living and Active Challenge come January. Yay. And we will kind of go from there. All right, guys, thank you so much. We'll see you later.